If your hair is always dry, breaking, shedding, and refusing to grow, this video is going to change everything for you. Because some of the most popular hair oils that are promised to moisturize, soften, of course the ones marketed to grow your hair extremely fast, they're actually the thing that's really sabotaging the way that your hair is able to absorb hydration and retain moisture. But let's tell the truth, most people oil and grease because they think that that's where the shine actually comes from. But the real shine comes from sebum. This is your body's natural oil. And the truth of the matter is, most people have never learned how to release it. This, what you're looking at on screen right now, is what a healthy scalp looks like when the sebaceous gland and sebum is operating as it was made to do originally. This is what a healthy scalp and healthy sebum flow looks like when the scalp is functioning. What you are experiencing is not dryness, it's actually just years and years and years. This is unreleased moisture trapped under layers and layers of product and dead skin and so much buildup that you've used and put on yourself over the years of following all these hacks online. This is exactly why I created the 7-day challenge in the first place. You already have it. I'm just teaching you how to unlock it. So let's start with the 5 oils that you should never use. These are the ones that are sabotaging your hair growth cycle. And one of them isn't an oil, it's actually using a product that I actually love the wrong way. So let's get into it.
Don't take it personal, that's just Sandal's way. She speak with love, but don't sugarcoat.
Here's the no BS answer, because the truth of the matter is, regardless of how they market things to you, certain oils are the one thing that's been sabotaging you. And as you go along, you will see different things pop up on the screen from different clients or just different YouTube viewers of mine and 7-day challenge and growth cycle blueprint members who have listened to what I said, stop oiling their scalp, and you can see where they was before. You can see or read where they were before and where they are now. So listen and read the stuff that's on the screen. So number 1 is going to be mineral oil and petroleum. This one just sits on top of the hair. It doesn't nourish, it doesn't penetrate, it simply creates a barrier. That's why it's used in the hair salon to protect the skin from different chemicals, because it's not doing anything but being a barrier. The barrier that this creates, it also keeps moisture from getting in. Not only does it keep chemicals from being absorbed, it also keeps water from being absorbed. So I want you to think about it. If I'm putting on petroleum so that something like a relaxer or a color or something like that won't penetrate the skin, well, what do you think water is going to do? This one also creates like a thick buildup that's really hard to remove over time when you keep adding additional layers on top of other products, dirt, dead skin, and all of the things. Don't get mad at me, but this is like one of the #1 cheap moisturizing ingredients in a whole lot of those team natural or natural products, because the reality of it is they understand that you guys aren't really worried about science, you just want to feel a little slip. So that is one of this one, mineral oil and petroleum, the worst. Number 2. Now number 2 is controversial, but it's true for so many hair types. Coconut oil. Coconut oil is one of the worst oils you can put within your hair. It is protein seeking, and your hair is protein, and it binds to protein. Going to see a hairstylist after you're a person who uses coconut oil on a regular basis is an absolute nightmare. Getting coconut oil out is almost impossible. So the thing that confuses most people, right, even though it is a 5 on the comedogenic scale, they're like, no, it's not, because it can penetrate, and people get confused thinking that if something can penetrate, it means that it's healthy. Well, what you don't understand is it can penetrate, but then it binds to the protein. So once it penetrates, it doesn't leave. So if your hair is color treated or chemically treated or anything like that, you already have the cortex and the melanin and the inner workings of the hair shaft changed around. So coconut oil, the way it penetrates the hair shaft and binds to all these different parts of your hair, makes it heavier, and then your hair is almost sure to break, especially if you have low porosity hair. Most people with high porosity hair, or most people with damaged hair, love coconut oil because it binds to protein and fills those spaces, but it's filling them temporarily, and it's actually making your hair worse because your hair is damaged. The last thing that it needs is something to cut off oxygen flow and all of the things. But once the coconut oil is stripped completely out of the hair actually feels horrific. So if you use oils and stuff in your hair, girl, you think your hair feel good, but I can guarantee you, use a clarifying shampoo, your hair gonna feel like garbage, hot garbage. Number 3 is going to be castor oil. Now, I know everybody loves castor oil. I've had videos about it before. I know people want to argue about it. I'm not getting into that. But over time, castor oil is one of those things that ends up causing massive long-term damage. The majority of my clients within my practice are women between the ages of about 45 to about 68 to 69. So most of the women that are coming to me are women that have spent 20-30 years doing the things that I tell you not to do, and are now at a place where dermatologists and everybody are telling them like, this is irreversible, you're gonna be bald, and then I fix it. But I am trying to get you to avoid all of these things because this is your future. Castor oil, though it does have a lot of great properties, especially for the inside of the body, it is really thick, and it has the tendency to start to thicken and to create plugs within the follicles. So this will in return end up blocking oxygen flow, causing a lot of microbes to accumulate, which will directly cause the hair to begin to miniaturize, the follicle to miniaturize, which means shrink, and then the hair gets thinner and thinner and starts to shed to the point where you have a bald spot. You begin suffocating the scalp after years of using castor oil. Some people experience heaviness, shedding, itchiness, and what y'all call dry scalp or dandruff, where the reality of it is most people put a whole bunch of castor oil on your scalp and you can't stop doing it, because when you do, the scalp starts to flake. If you want to know why your scalp begins to flake whenever you finally stop using oil and grease on the scalp, make sure you check this video here because I break it all down. This is something that only works for certain scalp types with certain types of infections, and it's only supposed to be used for a very short time and always shampooed out. Moving along. Number 4, olive oil. Although olive oil has a lot of amazing key constituents for the inside of the body and the gut, when we are talking about the hair and the scalp, it actually has no real benefit. Why? Because again, it is a sealant. It's literally meant to just sit on top of the hair shaft and coat the hair shaft. That's it. That's all. And when it gets on the scalp, all it does is feed the many different forms of yeast and bacteria that live on the scalp. So in reality, it's not really doing anything but clogging the pores and clogging the cuticle. So again, olive oil is another one that doesn't actually repair anything. It just coats the hair shaft. That is it. Not only is it really hard to rinse out, but the different forms of yeast and bacteria and even the parasite that lives on the scalp loves the key constituents of olive oil. So all you're really doing is feeding the scalp and then putting a layer on top of the hair shaft that's really hard to get off. This is going to attract dirt, environmental pollutions, different forms of yeast and bacteria to colonize on the scalp. I find almost no pros but a whole bunch of cons when we're talking about putting oil on the hair. Next, we're going to talk about cheap silicones. A lot of times, because everybody has shamed silicones so much, right, which I have a video about silicones in the description box below, so go check on that. They use a bunch of cheap or artificial silicones in its replacement. This is why most of the products that you use that say natural and things of that nature, if you don't have these products on your hair feels really dry. This is because these products are not helping your hair. They're actually making your hair worse. Because let's say you get on a regimen using something like BioSilk. If you stop using BioSilk for like a week and let's say you switch to Kimra, your hair is not going to feel horrible. If anything, your hair is going to feel great. It's going to feel replenished and repaired, because that's what a hair product is supposed to do. You're not supposed to be like tied down to a hair product. Like, if I don't use this, my hair is going to be unhealthy, my hair is going to be dry, because that means that the product isn't helping your hair. It's just putting a sealant on it, and when that sealant is gone, the true reality of your hair shaft is then exposed. So it's like, is everybody's hair really breaking off, or was your hair always damaged and you just constantly put band-aids on it with oils and hair products? When we're talking about silicones and different serums, it's not that they're bad, but most people are in this like team natural loop where you believe that you have to constantly reapply hair products, and you're not supposed to do that, because every time you apply a new hair product, every time you apply a new layer and you spray another time, all you're doing is adding another layer on top of the hair, making the hair heavier and more prone to breakage. So if you are a person who your hair is always breaking and you always get to a certain length and then it breaks and snaps and you can't figure out why, if you're also a person who adds a product a couple of times a day, or you wet your hair or add leave-in conditioner a couple of times a day, or you add a new product every other day in between you shampooing your hair, it's your fault that your hair is breaking off. You're making it heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier until it snaps and breaks like a pencil. To moisturize does not mean to suffocate the hair. To moisturize is to create a breathable layer that prevents all of the water from evaporating, because at the end of the day, some things do need to leave the hair shaft, but to have a moisturizing layer is to have a layer on top of the hair shaft that lets things escape without getting dry, right? It balances the right amount of hydration leaving and the right amount of hydration staying within. It's never just simply trapping things within the hair shaft. That's the wrong way to go. And I think over the years you guys have seen that, because you keep trying all of these different products and nothing's working. Not the product, the concept is wrong. We've already talked about here on my channel. Make sure you go look at the entire moisture course linked in the description box and the pinned comment. Make sure you go and watch this full course, because when you do, you end up really truly understanding the true definition of hydration and moisture and the difference and how they're linked to each other. But as you can see here on the screen and within the rest of this video, that the women and the men within the 7-day challenge and the growth cycle blueprint, not only do they know how to reset their hair growth cycle, they learn how to reset their skin cell turnover cycle, and they learn how to really release sebum from the scalp, because it's not complicated. And the thing that makes your scalp dry are all of the different products that you're buying. So just think about how crazy that is. You're constantly running around looking for moisturizers, but the truth of the matter is, the thing that's really keeping your scalp dry and your hair dry in the first place are all of the things that you spending all of the money that you barely got on. So imagine this. Imagine you didn't do any of those those things and you follow the same process that the gurus do in the 7-day challenge or the growth cycle blueprint, and your hair goes from really, really dry, brittle, and breaking to sebum flowing out of your scalp like this. And I want you to pay attention to this picture, and I want you to pay attention to how you can see that the same sebum that is on her scalp, that is on her forehead, look at the shine that is on her forehead, that is the same exact sebum that is on her hair. But she has a regimen and a pattern where she is able to get the sebum that is meant to coat her hair shaft and no, everybody that is within the 7-day challenge does not wear their hair in a silk press. But you know what they also don't do? Wash and goes. They don't do that either, but they do wear their hair in different states, in different curl patterns, and all of the things. So if you are ready to stop doing the tug of war and all of the things, then make sure you watch my free course. And then if you really are about that action and you're done playing, then come over and join the 7-day challenge or the growth cycle blueprint. Check the links in the description box below to learn more about both of them. And until our next video, bye. Stop putting all that bullshit in your hair. Well, hello, I am Cyn Smith, and welcome to the Growth Cycle Blueprint. Now, I'm also known as Cyn across social media, but it's whatever you feel like calling me on whatever day. In this course, I'm going to teach you how to master the natural cycle of your body. And it's so important. There are cycles in everything. The moon has a 28-day cycle. Your uterus as a woman has a 28-day cycle. Your scalp has skin cell turnover, which is a 28-day cycle. So in this course, we are going to get knee deep in your natural hair growth cycle, because there is one. And if you are following this cycle down to the T, you should be retaining at least an inch and a half. At least half an inch every month. But if you are like shooting for the moon and an overachiever, you can get that inch and a half every single month. So let's go ahead and get really, really into some of these facts, because I want you and your body in sync with the natural rhythm. So let's get right to it.